Welcome to In the Zone and Construction Executives Live, brought to you by U.S. Construction Zone, bringing you strategies for success with construction innovators and change makers, including In the Zone peer-nominated national award winners. Here's your host, Jeremy Owens.
Hey there, welcome back to Construction Executives Live. I'm your host, Jeremy Owens, owner and founder of U.S. Construction Zone and 3 Generations Improvements. Hey, we got an action-packed show. I hope you guys are buckled in because a lot's changed in our lives the last couple of weeks. And for all those affected by Hurricane Helene, this is going to be a topic on this show today. I had no idea that we were going to be talking about a hurricane in today's show, but we have a personal story to tell as well. And so for all of those who are affected, thoughts and prayers go to you. Perspective, life-changing moments can happen anytime. And I feel like I could start the show every single time with something that's happening in the world. And I don't like to be negative. I don't like to start a show that way. But at the same time, I do like to recognize when things are changing. And, a huge hurricane affected the entire East, really, one of the biggest storms in recorded history in the U.S. And so I'd like to really talk about that a little bit, but we're also going to have a great guest that's going to get into some other content as well. So we're going to jump right in here in a second. We are sponsored by the great team at Build 12. Check out build12.com. They're a revenue generating CRM machine. Talk to my friend Les over there at Build 12. We're going to talk a little bit about everything today, but we are going to talk about the power of impartial feedback. In today's information-saturated world, consumer reviews have become a crucial factor in purchasing decisions across industries. But how much can we truly rely on these reviews? I have personal stories with that as well, having a remodeling business. Man, it's hard to tell when your competitors got those friends that are posting the reviews or if they're really unbiased reviews or not. It's been kind of a wild ride for our industry. I look at my competitors and I'll be damned, everyone's got a 5 score. And I'm like, hey, wait a minute. Where's the cream rising to the crop? So this is a huge, huge topic for me in our business. In this show, we're going to hear from industry expert Greg Cummings. He's the CEO of Power 100 as we explore the importance of unfiltered, objective reviews and how they can shape success and drive growth in the construction industry. He's also going to talk about key attributes that contribute to the success of CEOs as he rubs shoulders with them all year round. So Greg Cummings is the CEO of Power 100, a unique third-party platform that serves the construction industry. Our industry is undergoing a significant transformation, and Power 100 aims to provide a central point of reference for industry professionals and customers. With 80% of construction industry professionals identifying unethical business practices as a pervasive issue, Power 100 is committed to ensuring that high-quality work and customer satisfaction take precedence over profit-driven motives. Please help me welcome Greg Cummings. Greg, thanks for being here.
Jeremy, thanks for having me. I appreciate it, brother, and looking forward to the conversation today.
Yeah, let's start with how you almost didn't make it here. I mean, I obviously I didn't know that your family was affected by the hurricane, but please tell us what happened.
Well, we live in Bel Air Beach, which is just south of Clearwater Beach. I could make this a really long story, but we were in Ireland last week, and we came home Saturday night, and there was about 4 feet, just over 4 feet of water through our entire house, and we have a 1-story house. So my sister asked me, she's like, well, after I got done assessing it, she's like, well, how much of your stuff did you lose? And I was like, it took me a minute to think about it. And I'm like, well, my kids had their overnight bags packed for a week at grandma's, and my wife and I had a bag packed. And so we each have a suitcase for a week. So whatever percentage that is, that's what we got today. But no, there's been so many good things that have come out of it. I think you see stuff like this happen on the news a lot.
Yeah.
And then in Florida, we kind of get numb to the hurricanes, where there's always something out there brewing. You just kind of overlook it, one out of what X number actually does damage to your house, and you always prepare for it. But this time we were in Ireland and we couldn't really prepare for it. So that kind of plays the cards against you, but everything happens for a reason, man. And there's a lot of good that's come out of it.
Well, I just appreciate that perspective. And, like I said earlier, we all have these moments in life. And if you haven't had a moment in life that's going to slap you in the face and it's going to tell you what life's about, you're about to, right? So, I appreciate your response to that, trying to find the positive, and I know you will. So, I mean, I really am sorry that this happened to you and your family. I know there's going to be a lot of tough times ahead. So reach out to your industry peers if you need it. You got a lot of builders and construction professionals ready to swing a hammer.
Yeah, we got a big rebuilding process, ahead of us. Not just me, our whole community. And I'll say this it's been so cool. Our kids go to a school called Indian Rocks Christian, and it's just an amazing group of people. But imagine this, we're standing outside, kind of like assessing the plans. My wife and I get back. We don't even go pick our kids up on Saturday. We go to the house to assess the damages, and it's a war zone. It's the only way I can describe it. And all of a sudden, two people walk up, and they're like, "Hey, Britt sent us." Shout out to Britt and Ty Bloom. They have been incredible with organizing people and moving them around. They've saved so many people's lives, like mentally, just being able to continue going on and giving them energy. But at the end of it, it's like they were able to help us get a lot of the stuff out. Okay, that night, mattresses, couches that would do a lot of damage if they stayed in the house. And molded and festered, especially in this, we still have 100-degree days, right? Jeez. Then the next day, we're out there, we're working. It's kind of like you hit like a little bit of a point. All of a sudden, a bus pulls up. I'm throwing, my kids' stuff on the curb, and there's trash, things piled everywhere. And all of a sudden, this bus rolls up, and it's an Indian Rocks Christian bus, and 30 people get out of this bus. I'll have pictures I can show you guys of this after. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And out comes my kid's teacher from last year, had her back-to-back years. And she gives me a big hug. Sees my wife, gives her a big hug. Her husband's there. It's just like, holy cow. Then now we have all these hands moving stuff out of our house because there's no time. You can't even get on the island. And what it just did to the community and how it brought people together and how that law of reciprocity is out there. Now I'm taking a lot of time on this, Jeremy.
Yeah, no, it's great.
I'm doing it for a reason because Power 100, your next question is going to be, what started Power 100? Probably, where is it about? Something like that.
Sure.
But what we look at in Power 100 is the core of the leadership with intent because of this industry, $400 million plus exterior modeling industry every single year. Over half of it is rework. So that means that half the people out there are doing things the wrong way, shortcutting things. Yeah. And then the guys that have to come behind it and not only, do it, but refix it, right? Taking more of an effort.
Right.
So you look at the integrity of a community and integrity of companies, and they're really no different, right? As they merge together. Mm-hmm. And so when you take a look at like how our communities come together, and everybody's helping everybody any way that they can. Some people can't lift a couch, so they're taking laundry and they're picking laundry up for people, doing laundry, bringing it back. Kids are getting shipped clothes. It has nothing to do with being able to afford to buy clothes or not.
Right.
You should see the look on my kid's face when somebody from the other side of the country sends 3 outfits for each of them. They're like, this is the best. It's like Christmas all over again. And so we're making it a fun thing. But man, I wouldn't be able to do that if those 2 people didn't show up that first day and then the whole crew didn't show up. I think I would have been a little bit mentally worn down. Like, dang, this mountain is huge. It's too big to climb.
Right.
So just so grateful out of everything, and it puts everything into perspective at what's important. And that's what every CEO and every leader in the country needs to do for their team, right? They need to be that community support for their team, their employees and their employees' families, and then their customers and their customers' families. It's an ongoing thing. If everybody just did that right thing, showed up the right way with the right attitude, you're going to empower people. And you never know when somebody's, going through something as well from that side of the coin as well. So there's two things going on, but the messages blend really nicely together. So go ahead, I'll leave it to you. So ask me some questions.
That's great. I mean, you know what's great. I mean, and you're in this industry, and you're kind of doing a deep dive on a company, and you can always tell the integrity of a person, a company, a man, a woman when shit hits the fan, when the chips are down. You know, when you make that mistake, when you put a nail through a pipe, right? Like, what's your reaction going to be? What's your integrity? What's your character going to say? And you could just tell from your reaction to this that you're a man of integrity. So that means Power 100 is a company of integrity. And I just good on you for having that response, but also just for sharing that story. That's really cool and very powerful.
Cool. Yeah, it's ongoing. So the story's not done. We'll keep telling it. We'll keep telling it.
Yeah. No, tell us a little bit. Like, so what are your ages of your kids? Maybe we can rally some more clothes and stuff.
No, honestly, my kids, we feel so blessed to have such a big, awesome supporting network around us that love us and care about us. And like I said, it's those intangibles. But if anybody wants to send things, kids of literally all ages, if y'all want to send them to our office, we will distribute those to families that do need them. We're trying to give back to that community as much as humanly possible right now, because we did have our community saved our house very quickly. Some people didn't get their houses saved, so now they need to start over or go do whatever they need to do. So we want to rally the troops to give as much as we can back. And that's kind of been our focus here, as well as fixing our house. But, the rebuilding process is not as important as the sustaining process of the structure of your home and your family. So,
right.
Our office, you can mail whatever you guys want to mail, and we'll distribute it to kids and families. Let's put the emphasis on the kids, because that's really the hardest part.
Right.
And like I said, just an outfit, shoes, shirt, pants, whatever.
Yeah.
The kids get that. And all of a sudden, and that just gives this rejuvenation of somebody else cares about me. Like, whether you can pay for it or not, that doesn't matter. Right. It's like somebody else has thought and gone through that effort. And that's a powerful thing. And then that person's going to be better. Like I said, I've mentioned it before, law of reciprocity. If somebody does something for you, you're more likely to do something back or pass it on.
Yep.
And I'm not talking about buying the person's coffee in front of you. I'm talking about really going out of your way to change, the mindset and the outlook for these kids. So if absolutely, we would love to be able to disperse anything that you have. We can be that resource for you.
Okay, great. I'll after this show, I'll make sure we hit socials up and we'll figure this out, man. I mean, like you said, one person at a time. Who knows? But put a small smile on their face for a moment. Yeah, that's the goal, right? Cool. Well, let's get into a little bit of the content here. I mean, it was a great kind of segue with, why you started the Power 100. But tell us a little bit about your kind of career in construction and kind of what brought you to this point now.
Started with a kid. I was traveling the world with an audio branding company. We were working with massive companies all the way down to regional strong companies, combining their tone tempos to make sure their brand matches who they are. Yeah. A lot of brands, regardless of size, are fragmented with their message and their tone and their feel and what they are and how they want to accomplish things. And so we align them that way and then help communicate that message out. The problem is I was traveling quite a bit. And it was a ton of fun, probably the most fun I ever had, because I'm just a student, I'm a constant learner. I love that. And so sitting with a different company, every day and working with them through that, and then working with them through the process to see the end result was just incredible. I got a master's education times 100 in that role, right. Of how business works and what goes into it. But then, I turned around, we had a kid, and we were basically saying, okay, what can I do? And a buddy of mine, we literally just rented a little office space in downtown St. Pete and had whiteboards up everywhere. And we said, what industry do we want to get into? What made the most sense? Then once we narrowed down the industry, we then put out a bunch of companies out there, and he had a young kid at the time as well. Similar mantra.
Mm-hmm.
And we landed on a local window and door company. They were doing about 800,000 in revenue. About 100 of it was actual retrofit, and there was 0 whole home replacements, maybe a couple 3/4, but it was a lot of repair work. So we had to rebrand that business. I did everything on the front side of it, and my partner did everything on the back side of it. Came on, ran sales, and then ran marketing, and then. Before I exited that company, I didn't exit. I still have my shares of it, but I exited the day-to-day. And what I learned through that whole process was I just wanted to have a unique identifier, right? And so that's kind of the secondary part of how we got into it. So what we did, how we got here, is we created what we wanted at the window business.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there, and by the way, we grew the window business from those numbers to over 10 million in 3 years while maintaining on cue with today's topic, a 4.8 Google review, 100% were real.
Right.
Then from there, just like really those principles that we used was a third party social proof, created a version of Power 100 for locally. And I didn't say I was the best company, but I said I was the best person to help that job for you get across the line. Because I know for sure I won't let you down. Right. And I know for sure I have the backing of my company not to let you down. Will these other companies on the list, there were 7 of them. Yes, they're going to do the same thing for you that I am.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Our products are very similar. And too many times contractors get caught up in thinking they have a better process or their installers are better. Well, they're not. I hate to break the news to you. They're not. The person across the street is good. Now, are you better than some? Or are you better than most? Yes. But the companies that you have in front, you can't assume you're competing against garbage. You got to assume you're competing against the best. So how are you going to uniquely identify yourself from the best?
Yeah.
And so that's what I did. Created this to then say, look, the person in front of me, and that goes down to time, training, and your sales mantra, and then your ability to install. I don't even know the question you asked. That's the full transparency of how we got here from my history to conception of Power 100. And so now we're doing that across the board, essentially, across the country.
Okay, so this is nationwide, all industries in construction, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's exterior remodeling. So windows, doors. We started initially, the first list we did was just window and door companies, but then we realized not just in Florida. In Florida, it's just windows and doors. But the more north you go, they add on all these products. So we quickly evolved to exterior home remodeling.
Okay.
Now, some of the companies, they do bath. Everybody's added on bath, it seems like. But most of their business is exterior remodeling.
Okay, got it. Great. So how do we get to this point with the online reviews? I mean, I kind of said it in my opening here that it's kind of out of control. I mean, I'm sure it's the same everywhere where it's super powerful, right? I mean, homeowners have this power to give an online review, but also the biasness, the fake reviews, the paying, incentivizing. There's a lot going on right now, and everyone knows that the reviews are important. But now I think we're to that point where it's like, crap. Now, what do they mean? What's the value of them now? Because they don't appear to be real anymore to me.
There's a lot of them that are real, but I just don't think they matter as much anymore. And what I mean by that is you need them. Okay. Because I would say most people across America, that's how they're making decisions. They see it, they go, they just go with the flow. But that's also why we have over 50% of the industry is rework. Now, I think the better question to say is like, what else can we do to separate ourselves? So you have to have your reviews, right? You have to push hard for your reviews. It's almost a whole nother position we've had to make for the industry. But the reviews no longer get you the job today. And I think that if we had 50 of CEOs on the line today, the reviews are not getting us the jobs like they did in COVID.
Right. So
the companies that have restructured their business from COVID and turned themselves into a sales program, a sales organization, those are the ones that are going to win. And by the way, I got to preface this, Jeremy. Whenever I talk about sales, or whenever I talk about being aggressive, the only people that I deal with are the best of the best.
Mhm.
Like, people that are on my list have already passed an integrity check. They already have the right moral compass and aptitude. Now, once you get that and you're in a life-saving mindset, that's what I'm talking about, of a sales-minded organization where
Right.
you are out to vigilantly save people from going and choosing the wrong contractor and being a part of the majority of rework.
Right. Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. So, there's a lot about the negative reviews, and I'm very fortunate and blessed that we have a lot of great real online reviews about my company. But every once in a while, you're never going to be perfect, right? That negative review comes around, and I used to panic about it, right? It used to be like, oh my God, what are we going to do? But now I see it as an opportunity because it's real, right? And it shows that we're not perfect. We're not going to have all 5-star reviews. It's not possible. We're human. So to have that come through now, I go like, all right, great. Here's our chance to respond, maybe fix whatever that looks like. Here's your chance to show your character. And so shouldn't be quite as panicky about a negative review nowadays, right?
I think as a company, as a leader, if you have the right mindset, those are real opportunities. And those are finally people that are speaking up.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the ways that you can really improve your business. This way you'll be around long term. So looking at that as an opportunity is music to my ears. And I love hearing you say that, because when I was running my company and everywhere I've ever done business, I learned this. I started my career off with Enterprise Rent-A-Car and in Boston. And I had a manager say to me, he goes, every time you talk to a customer, every time you're in front of a customer, every single time you should be improving the reputation of our brand. And that has stuck with me so far. And, I've, as I moved up with Enterprise, you deal with more and more conflict resolutions, right? And so it really prepared, it jump-started me in my career with my ability to kind of navigate those conversations with homeowners and those situations. And really what those opportunities are is those people usually have the loudest voice. They're usually the squeaky wheel. They're usually the person that's going to post on the, Facebook neighborhood and all that stuff. They're going to go extra lengths. So if you are good, accept the challenge.
Yeah.
Accept the challenge. Go talk to them. Take the time out of your day. And I don't care how big. I don't care if you're a $200 million company. If somebody if they really have a hair across, like, take the time to go do it. Don't be too big for that, because it's also a way to kind of look at your business from a different perspective, being extra critical. And I know 100 out of 105 CEOs are going to say, Greg, they just want money. And I go, they just want money because you gave them a little bit of reason to go get it.
True.
They also hired you to get the job done. They also got promised a lot of things. So that person is also set the tone from buying. They, quote unquote, now overpromise. No, he just didn't communicate. So now we got to go back and train our people. We got to go back and use that time. And training is not a punishment. Training should be a privilege.
Right.
That's a whole nother topic. Ask me another question, because I'm gonna go down. I'll just talk. I'll run through this. I have no problem taking the podium.
No, I agree with all that. I think sometimes, yes, there's money involved, but a response that we've had a lot of times is like, oh, okay, we didn't really realize that you didn't like that. How about we just redo that? Maybe it's a particular wall they're not happy with, or this window transition, whatever it may be. If you say like, how about we redo it? You'll be surprised what their response is, because most of the time they're like, really? You do that? Because they're just assuming that we're going to dig our heels in and there's going to be a big battle and there's going to be, attorneys and all that crap. No, how about we just redo it? Yes, we're going to lose our profit on that. But again, like you said, they hired you to do a job and they're not happy with it. So you gotta make them happy. And for us, that's been the easiest one, is just like, hey, no question about it. Let's not even look at the price. It's just, let's make sure they're happy.
That's where that's where Power 100 originated from.
Yeah.
We take a look at 7,600 companies on an annual and ongoing basis to make sure that we put the top companies up there, that make sure that these companies are constantly doing the right thing. And that's the reason that we're here, is to shine the light on the companies that are doing the right thing. So homeowners all across the country and people looking for work can choose the right company to be a part of.
Right.
And on top of that, the secondary effect is we also have gone a step further to rank the top 15 strategic partners in the industry that serve the CEOs and the companies to help them more efficient, because that will then in turn have a ripple effect to help more customers, aka homeowners across the United States.
Right.
So it all ties in together.
Right. That makes sense. So from a homeowner's perspective, how would you advise them to seek out these companies? Are these third party like Power 100? Is that where you would recommend going instead of, hey, I'm going to go right to Google Review, or what do you advise for them?
Hey, we use Google Review as a precursor.
Sure.
You got to use everything. You can't just be focused on one thing or another. And again, the Google reviews, the third-party platforms, all that stuff is great, but it only gets you the appointment. It only starts your journey. Right. Now, this is why there's so much opportunity here for companies that maybe don't know what they're doing, that maybe they don't do the right thing. Right. Because there are zero educated buyers when it comes to windows, doors, roofing, siding. Oh, yeah. Okay. There's like 3%, somebody that just did it and then they moved 6 months later because they got relocated or something like that.
Right.
That's the only person. Okay.
Right.
Most people, they buy in different lifetimes of product, right? So you buy siding and then you don't buy it for another 20 years.
Right.
So now you're going back to the table and it's like, I thought I did a lot of research the first time around, but that doesn't matter anymore.
Oh yeah. New products.
So we now have to sell. We have to educate and then close and then sell to an entire country that, 97% of the people that we sit with are truly not fully educated customers. However, these reviews and online for 10 minutes makes them think that they are. So it's all about what questions to ask. How do you create a unique identifier as the contractor when you're in the home to give them that comfort, to get them to say, wow, you know what? This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
This is different.
Yeah. So if there was a homeowner that went to Power 100, how would they navigate through that? Would they just be going to their city and then finding those contractors that have that designation?
Yeah. I mean, I think that for the most part, they would find their contractor and then they would see the designation or the verified on their website. And then we do have companies that do, like, contractors that are on our top 100 that want to engage with us. Right. We can go through a further evaluation of their company, which we do. We've done several. And then out of that, they actually can get some additional closing tools that we offer.
Okay.
Because we're essentially showing our evaluation. So we don't necessarily charge for the evaluation, but we go in and we film some content. We interview people. We do a full evaluation on the company. And then we share those results with the homeowners, or we give them to the contractors to then share with their homeowners.
Okay, great. So what kind of like deep dive do you do for a contractor? Obviously, you have to do your own online research to make sure they are who they say they are. But what kind of process do you guys have to vet these companies? Because as we all know, we can't just go with the online reviews, right? And and what necessarily they tell you, it's got to be something more than that.
At the end of the day, nothing's perfect, right? And that includes our list. It's an ever-evolving list. There are so many contractors out there, some that are falling off our list because of certain things, and some that are getting on the list certain things. We have companies that initially we had a negative keyword search as construction. If you had just the word construction in your title, you didn't get on our list. And that's just because there were so many. We had to make sure that we were getting unique companies that were serving these specific products to have the right processes in place. Because if you're just a contractor, you're doing everything, you're doing all this. You don't
Right.
have the ability to go back and serve like you would if you are a niche business.
Okay.
And that's a whole nother call as to why, but the reality is that. So, however, in this industry, in the exterior remodeling, if you have the word construction, you're still doing windows, doors, siding, and roofing, but some companies just happen to have the word construction in there.
Yeah.
So now we've gone back and we've updated that, and there's different things that we've done. So to my point and to your point, online reviews aren't perfect, and that's everything. So you use it as a starting point, and then the more that you're able to get, the more information that you're able to get, the more warranties, the more guarantees, the more support. This is all that we do. So, I think from a consumer standpoint, if they're looking to use this, I would go, you can go there and find whoever's in your area, of course.
Right.
But you're obviously going to be able to get that when you go to the companies as well, should they have engaged with us, if they did.
Right. And you talked about some of the services, that service partners as well. Does that include some of the manufacturers? Have they come to you, like an Anderson or a James Hardy or some of those types of people? Have they come to you and said, hey, that would be great for you guys to partner together?
Yeah, we've had a lot of conversations with manufacturers, especially over the last 6 months. They've gotten closer and closer. We're in our due diligence phase right now of manufacturers, and we do plan to add manufacturers to our rankings, if you will, in 2025. So you can expect anywhere from the top 5 to maybe the top 10 manufacturers. We're not sure exactly what it is, but we want to be the number one resource for these CEOs. This way, if they need something or a gap on their sales process, on their operations, whatever it is on the partner side, and then be able to say, hey, if you want to switch manufacturers as well, anybody that's switched manufacturers knows what a gut-wrenching process that is.
Yeah.
And we're here to kind of bridge that gap, make it easier by going through the vetting process for you.
Yeah, great. So where else do you see your platform going? I mean, do you have anything far out that you're really thinking that you'd like to add? What are you guys thinking there?
There's
so many ideas, right?
I look at it this way. When we were in Ireland, somebody was asking me the same question, and I said, Power 100 is a train. I know exactly where we're going long term, but every single stop we get off and we look around and we have conversations, because we don't want to necessarily pass anything up, and we're not in a rush to do any one thing. I think the most exciting thing that's on the horizon for us is going to be our power groups. They're going to continue to kind of evolve, where we're going to have dinners and we're going to have different things across the country. We are working on a national television deal right now as well, which should be incredible. Should we put this all together for 2025? But a lot of fun things. I'll say this. For 2025, you can expect 100x what we did this year, as far as engagements and content and things like that. So we're very excited for 2025.
Yeah, awesome. Well, a little piece too that I'd like to get into before we talk about little CEO stuff is, obviously technology is evolving rapidly. Now we have AI, we have all these things in construction that are helping us become more efficient. Where do you see this part, the review process and technology? Where do you see it all headed? Do you have a crystal ball or any thoughts there?
As far as the online reviews and things like that? Yeah, I think people are starting to see that it's taking up too much time in their process, where they're not getting the squeeze. They've dedicated, full teams to this. They have paid, hundreds of thousands, if not millions, for online reputation management. And I don't think the consumer takes it as strong as they did before. I think people are now very, very savvy buyers. It's like we were selling 10 years ago, again, right now. So it all goes back to that sales organization. But I think the online reviews, if I were to have a crystal ball and make a prediction, and we can rewind this in 2-3 years, I think they're always going to be necessary. You have to protect the house, sort of say there. And the only way that you can protect the house is by putting on good reviews. And it goes back to a process where when something comes in, when a job comes in, you're talking about that, you're forecasting it, you're pushing them through a funnel. This way, when it comes out, it's a natural segue of, hey, please, this is what you said 3, 4, 5 times. Now can you put this in writing, put it on Google, put it on whatever platform that you prefer. Right. The problem is there's so many platforms right now. So you can't ask your customer to do 1 or 2. There are some amazing partners out there in the technology space that do help you do this. Right. However, there are a lot of companies out there that say you will, and now you're that they say they do, but now you're trusting them to your business and talking to all your customers. That's a dangerous, a slippery slope as well.
Yeah,
so,
tough. Yeah, it's tough. I mean, back when I started, obviously, I'm 3 generations in the industry. So, obviously, we didn't have the internet when my dad and my grandpa were starting. So, it was all about talking to your neighbors and talking to your family. And those referrals had tons of weight, right? Because it was like, hey, we trust these people. And it was like a lot of times that was all they needed. Oh, great. Perfect. We'll just call them. Done. Like, that's how powerful it was. And are we ever going to get back there? Or is it the social media and online kind of personas that we all have? Is that just dead forever? Because dang it, a personal referral should take way more weight than going to a Google review. I mean, it should.
It should. I have an amazing company on our top 100 called GTR, or they're called Get the Referral, acronym GTR.
Okay.
Their platform is just awesome. And they're also developing a 2.0 version right now that I think is going to take over the market, especially in small business. So if you guys want more information on that, I'm happy to share that with you all as well. You can reach out to me directly.
Okay.
And I'm happy to hook you up with Jamie, because I really believe in what they're doing over there. We've spent a lot of time evaluating their business and what their intent is and how they go about it. And everything from how they develop all the way down to what their customers are saying.
Right.
So they work with huge companies all the way down to, the $1 million guys. Right. But their mantra is, look, is exactly what you said. It's old school. Like, let's make it easy to refer. So let's take a little bit of technology and combine it with that old school mindset of, hey, let's talk about it. Here's what it is. And like you said, and everybody knows this, it's a higher closing percentage. It's a higher, margin. There's more value built in. So you're able to sell it, where you want. Your employees are happier. The ripple effect is literally endless.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So yeah, I think we will see a swing of that, but I don't think it's anytime soon.
Yeah.
I really don't. I think you do need to be in charge of your own leads if we're talking about leads now.
Right.
I think you need to try to diversify from the online stuff and get face to face with your potential customers.
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. All right. Well, I mean, we met at the at a conference, the Pinnacle Pro Remodeler Conference out in Baltimore. And I know that you do a lot of these things. You're kind of moving and shaking all around the U.S. and you get to rub shoulders with the best minds in construction. So tell us a little bit about that experience. And have you been traveling a lot? Is that part of your gig now? Going to the conferences, how many do you go to? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, we're on the road quite a bit. We try to go for short sprints. Mentioned that I have some kids and, I really want to be there. And the reason I left my other job that I liked is because I don't want to travel as much. And so, I stayed local for 5 years or whatever it is. And now we're kind of back traveling. It's funny how life takes us, but no, we're on the road quite a bit. And we are everywhere. I mean, all over the country. We're talking to as many people as we can, evaluating as many businesses as we can, with the old school mindset of in-person, face to face, right? Yeah. Of we have assumptions of companies, and then we go in and we validate or prove them right or wrong, and then we're able to go from there. So, we are everywhere. Events are very important. If you're not getting to them, get to them. I could talk on a whole show on why that's important.
Right.
And only 5% of it is actually at the show. The other 95 is reasons why you're going to the show. It's a chance for you to look at your business and evaluate and then work on it instead of in it every day.
Yeah, no doubt. So what are some key attributes that, and talking with all these CEOs and great minds, what are some key attributes that you're seeing that really make a successful CEO? And when I say successful, I'm not always talking about, revenue. I'm not always talking about that. I'm talking about what makes a good company.
That's a great question. The first thing is always culture, but how do you get a culture? That's the better question. Most people will say, get a good culture, and you'll go far. It's like, okay, well, let's give you some real tangibles on what a good culture is for your audience and how you actually can achieve that. And the short answer is I'm not going to be able to tell you today because it's on a case-by-case basis. Anybody that can blanket culture or blanket that process is lying to you, because each stage of the process has different requirements in order to achieve this great culture. It's a moving, living, breathing organism.
Right.
But the one commonality in order to be successful is you have to dedicate time to future development of yourself and your business. Right. What do I mean by that? Okay. I don't care if you're a $1 million company or a $100 million company, if you can't take a 3-day weekend every single month, then you're not where you need to be. You need to get back to work.
Right.
And that's at a minimum, by the way. There's some guys that can take a 3-day weekend every single weekend and still continue to grow. Now, the reason, I'm not saying you need to do that, but you have to be able to separate yourself and say, my business will continue the progression of positive growth, even when I'm not there, because of the systems I put in, because of the people I hire, because of my constant training process. Training is a privilege. It's not a consequence.
Right.
The culture of your business continues to go without you. That's called true culture. Right. If you're just there going, that's a dictatorship. People are doing things because you're there. That's not a culture. Right. And it's very easy to fake that, or maybe have a mirage of it, maybe is a better word, because I don't think people are trying to necessarily fake culture.
Sure.
You have a mirage of culture up until about $6 million.
Right.
Chips, the chips really get down on the table at 6 to 7, 7 to 8, which are, depending on where you are, what your average ticket is, what you're selling. That jump is incredibly hard because you have to release power. There's balloons, whatever. There you go. Good timing. So, those types of jumps start to lead into training, and then you start to have to delegate. And as we move up, you can go up and up and up and up. So where do you want me to go from there? Because I could take this 50 different angles.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, I guess the other part of that key attribute of CEOs and kind of where I was leading to is, what are they preparing for now? Because, we have some difficult times. I mean, it's not COVID times. I know we talked about that. Like we still have to talk about COVID, because that was an anomaly. That was like drinking water out of a fire hose. That's what that was. That was freaking crazy. And like, you didn't need marketing. You didn't need a process. You needed to have a body and a live phone, and that's it. It was too easy at times. Still frustrating, supply stuff, and it wasn't all roses. But so what are they preparing for now? We're heading into election season. It's going to start to get crazy here. It's not going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be division, and then maybe the economy takes a little bump too. So what are they preparing for?
4 feet in your house. Right?
Yeah.
4 feet of water in your house. How are you going to handle it? There's 4 feet of water in every single construction contractor's business right now.
Totally.
Straight up. Everyone is flooded. I don't care what you think. You got too many unknowns ahead of you you can't possibly think that you are sitting pretty high and dry. And if you are, I hope to God that you actually are, for all the people depending on you.
Right.
But if you're not, you could get blindsided.
Right.
And I'll hit you right between the eyes on this. This is a simple question that I posed on I've posed this question a couple of times. So I apologize if somebody's heard me say it. Would you, pound for pound, like a wrestling match or a tennis match, put every single one of your salespeople, every single one of your install crews in a death, like literally a do or die competition with your competitor? Winner take all. You bet your whole company that my team is better than your team.
Yep.
Period. Winner take all.
Yeah.
Would you jump at that opportunity to gain market share? Or would you go, that's silly, guys. Why would we do that? There's plenty to go around. Yeah. I can tell you right now that question right there, and I don't know where I came up with it, but that question right there is going to tell you everything that you need to know. Every single thing. And so one crew might be better than the next crew, but guess what? It's a numbers game. It adds up. Just because it's not your best versus their best. It's your whole team. And each individual round or each individual match or whatever it is counts equally. Okay. Winner take all. You lose your whole company. Now I'll tell you what I've seen. I know a couple of $150 million companies that they would be like, let's go. Yeah. We're not even hesitating.
Right.
Put it down. Let's go. Because I have a sales team that has a mantra of a war cry, not of, and by the way, again, going back, integrity is assumed here, guys.
Sure.
Intent is assumed because those are the only companies that we entertain doing business with or talking to. I wouldn't be on this with you if I didn't think the world of you and your organization, everything that you're doing as well.
Thank you.
So it's like, that's the question that you have to ask yourself. And that's the question that's what these guys that are, and gals that are growing double digits right now. That's the only difference that I see from them and the person that's flat or behind 20% right now.
Right.
Is the mantra. I apologize for all the emojis, but I guess my thumbs go up and balloons happen.
No, you got some people that are fans. You're good.
I don't know. So, at the end of the day, that really what sets yourselves, different. What do you want to tolerate? And if you had that match, if you had that match next week, who would you fire? Who would you train? Who would you lean on? What would you do? Go do all that stuff right now.
Yeah.
Because the war is coming.
Yeah.
It really is coming. It's just, it's not going to be in this well-organized fashion.
Right. Dang, you're getting me fired up, man. Wow. Yeah. I mean, the other thing, so as you're talking to all these folks, the age is starting to change, right? I mean, we have all these baby boomers that are starting to retire or want to sell. And now we have some younger generation stepping up into managerial or maybe even ownership positions. So what are you seeing there? What do you think will change out of that? Because it's going to change because the baby boomers they were a different breed. They were their own for their own right. They lived the life that they lived and brought them to that spot. We needed them. But now as they age out, we got to take the torch and it's going to look different.
Yeah, I don't think that's the real. I don't think that is that big a deal. What I do think is a big deal, which is the same thing you're talking about, but just a different way of saying it, is private equity. I think private equity is looking at those boomers and saying, hey, they're dooming and glooming them. And they're saying, the mountain's really big right now. Do you want to adapt to technology? Do you want to learn how to do this? Do you want to sell in this new world? Guys, it's not a new world. There's zero new world. We are sitting face to face with people.
Mm-hmm.
I would say this to the people that are sitting there, those boomers, you're okay. Do your thing.
Right.
But if you're not growing and challenging yourself the way you have for 30 to 40 years, then you need to think about the lives of your employees,
right,
and everyone that depends on them, because then you need to really figure out what to do with your business.
Right.
And then selling the private equity, I don't know if that's a good thing or not. I particularly don't see private equity as the strongest fit in this industry. They haven't figured it out right now as good as other places. Sure. Because we have tails in it, right? There's trails. We offer double lifetime warranties. There's liabilities with it. So private equity by definition comes in and they want to get the most money out of something.
Right.
Now, are there some benefits? Of course, there's benefits to everything. I'm not downplaying one or the other, but just for the majority, it's not a clean fit. It's not figured out across the board quite yet. There are some folks that are doing it right, though.
Right.
What was I saying after that? Help me out, Jeremy.
Oh boy, I don't know, man. You were saying, crap. I don't know. I lost it too. We both lost at the same time. We both lost.
Well,
we were talking about the baby boomers, and we were talking about how they're.
There you go. See, we got it, man. We got it. This is no big deal. So the baby boomers coming out of the business one way or another eventually, and what's happening behind it is we have a movement of very, very motivated, guys and gals that have aspirations of really taking over the world, right? And so this is another thing that's a sneak peek under the hood. I'm calling it the billionaire mindset, where I asked them, like, are you planning on selling the private equity? What's your plan? They look at me like I am totally insane.
Right.
And they're like, I am not selling to them. Like it is, we are going to take over and we're going to be the biggest company in the country. Right. We're going to be the next $1 billion company. And there are plenty of private companies right now that are on track for that. And there's several not several, but there's a lot of companies out there that have that mindset, and some of them are a $5 million company right now, and some of them are a $200 million company right now, or $300 million company right now.
Right.
But it's all about that mindset of growth. Of no, we're not doing this. We've burned the ships. We are going long, and we're not stopping.
Right. What would you say because I'm talking to a lot of folks coming out of COVID, and like I said before, we got a lot of bad habits. Honestly, I think we probably had certain assumptions about how great our leads were going to be and how easy things were going to be from a sales standpoint. And, there were a lot of bad habits that were created. And I think a lot of companies are in that stuck position, right? They're going like, where do I even start? Looking at everything going like everything kind of went to shit. Which one do I start with? How do I get going? What would you recommend for people who are in that boat right now?
So, you meaning that their sales are down?
Yeah, I would say not only sales, but I mean, obviously, I think all of our leads are down. I mean, that's probably pretty natural, but I'm just saying that I just think in general, they're looking at all of their processes, whether that's their sales process that they probably weren't having to use as much. The leads have dried up a little bit. Just in general, they're looking at their whole business going like, crap, where do we start? We got to almost start over or create systems, or what do we need to do to get back in the right track?
So I called it the great reorganization. We've had the Great Recession, the Great Depression, all that stuff. Well, coming out of COVID, the great reorganization, if you didn't do that, you're feeling pretty bad right now.
Yeah.
Because the people that carried you through COVID, if you have this intent to grow, right, and to continue to progress, they're not the right people. And a lot of times people work with folks that are very close to them, become very good friends and things like that. And you need to make sure they all have their seat is in the right place, and make sure that they're happy, make sure you're challenging them. But I think the worst thing that COVID did to us is it made training consequence versus privilege. And you'll hear all these funny things out there, these, cute slogans where we need to be we need to be a marketing organization. We're really this, we're really that. Well, if you're not truly a training organization, first and foremost, you don't control your own fate. That's the reality. So you need great people, but you need to constantly train them, and give them the tools and the confidence to really scale. If you really want to grow, there's not enough A players out there that you can depend on. You can only go so far with 10 great A player salespeople. Right. You need to have 50, 20, 30, whatever your number is to where you want to be. And you need to have a process in place where you can get A type numbers out of B type players, because your brand is so invaluably strong.
Right.
Brings us full circle back to their online reviews. How do you attract and retain your clients, right? How do you go back and get them to give you referrals? How it's not lip service, it's real.
Right.
And that has to do with what your process is and how your people believe that they work for the greatest company in the world.
Right.
The second question I would have every single company, every single CEO or owner or leader ask themselves, if I were to send out a survey to everyone in my company, it's one question, two possible answers. Do you work for the greatest company in the world? This seems like a silly, funny question, but it's a yes or it's a no response. There's plenty of variances on either side. But if your people don't believe that they're in the best possible place, then you got to reevaluate what you do. Why is that? Is it because that they get constant complaints because the install crews aren't there, or because your salespeople show up late, or because one guy shows up smelling like smoke, sits on the couch, and now their couch smells like what's going on, right?
Right.
The attention to detail, where is it?
Right.
And I'll tell you, COVID, like you said, it lost it. One, we never had to get close enough for anybody to smell us because we were 6 feet away. Okay. And two, we weren't even in the dang house half the time.
Right.
All you had to do is say, oh, they said they can get it in 6 months. I can do it in 5. I guarantee it, or we'll give you a 10% discount. Deal. Done. Like, what are we doing? Yeah. So the history's repeated itself. Going back to what you said, Jeremy, I do believe that one-to-one referral element is very, very important. I do believe that there is a lot of technology out there that can make your business very, very efficient as you grow and scale. Companies like Rilla, if you don't know what Rilla is, they're outstanding. It allows you to record every single meeting. You can put parameters on it. You can put checkpoints on it. It just really helps you understand the business. But even with that tool, it's nothing without the training and the follow-up to it. It's just something else that your people have to do. So I've said training too many times for people not to understand that it's important, and pose yourself those 2 questions. Would you bet your whole entire life that you built your company against the competitor? If not, go make those adjustments so you would. And then 2, do your people work for the greatest company in the world? Check yes or no. There's no maybe, there's no asterisk.
Yeah. No, I love that. And we started the show with, perspective and life changes, and let's end it there. We're all going to have something that happens to us, whether that's a death in the family or a loved one, or, a natural disaster, or whatever it may be, divorce. There's things that happen in our lives, mental health, our industry is full of them, and every industry is full of them. Every human's full of them. So what would be your imparting wisdom as you go through something right now? Yes, we have businesses that we all love. Yes, we're in an industry that we love, but we are people. How can we end this and make sure that we're in a good place as people first?
Yeah, I would say this. Above anything, never judge a path by the first couple steps. And that's both ways. All right, guys, just because you go down this road and it's all beautiful and sunshiny, well, that could be a distraction to go somewhere bad where you can't come back from.
Right.
I've never in my life, I went to West Point Prep School, went through full boot camp, and this is kind of where I go back to this is that was crazy. Okay. Right. We're in the woods for however long we were. I don't even remember, with baby wipes as your shower.
Right.
But you go through that with people and then you come out as brothers. Mm-hmm. So when there's controversy, when there's a huge challenge in front of you that seems impossible, just know that you're going to come out of that better if you have the right mindset and you keep moving, you keep going step by step. Right. Don't sit down and cry in the corner, get up off your ass and go.
Yeah.
Because the world doesn't stop spinning for anybody. And frankly, there's probably not anything that's wrong that's happening to you, no matter how bad it seems.
Right.
It's you have to keep pushing through and look for the good in things. Mm-hmm. And don't be afraid to talk to people and reach out. And I don't necessarily mean it from a mental health and go to counseling. I mean it from your neighbor. Like, if they want to go help and bring, full circle, donate an outfit for a girl, or a little boy, like it's not the outfit. It's not the monetary cost. It's just that somebody cares about it, about them. And they had enough to go through that to put it in the mail and it showed up. And that's just cool. So I would say keep going. And just because your path seems like it's thorn bushes and, treacherous terrain, that probably means the reward is much better at the end. And I can actually guarantee that the reward is better because tomorrow is always the best day. Today's always the best day, and tomorrow there's going to be another one.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Greg, I appreciate you being here, man. All the challenges that you had just to get here, I can't say enough about that. And, full transparency, during that whole show, I had all these ideas are coming in my head about how we can support your community. So expect more from me. You're going to see some boxes show up, and you might want to get some tables ready, because I'm going to hit up my contacts and make sure that your community has a reason to smile. So it's coming at you.
Cool, man.
All
Well,
right.
I've enjoyed the show, Jeremy. I can't wait to catch back up with you again, brother. And anything that comes of it, we'll make sure it all gets into some awesome hands that will be very, very appreciative.
All right. Thank you so much.
All right. Take it easy.
Thanks again, guys, for being here. Another episode, Construction Executives Live. That was a big one. And I can't wait to show Greg and his community the power of the construction industry and how we come together and rally behind each other. So if you have any questions about what I'm going to do, make sure to reach out, Jeremy at usconstructionzone.com, and I will be in touch with you all on the next show. Thank you so much. Bye.
You've been listening to In the Zone and Construction Executives Live with Jeremy Owens. Be sure to subscribe to In the Zone and stay in the know with the best minds in the construction industry. To nominate an innovator or change maker in the construction industry, connect with your management peers, and stay up to date with construction industry news, be sure to visit usconstructionzone.com.